We've taken a look at the ways in which animals have adapted to survive in the cold, dark depths. We've explored the ecosystems of this unforgiving realm and seen how communities of life cling to whatever source of energy they can find, from vents of superheated water to the carrion of sunken whales. But now it's time to dive even deeper.
Time to die.
And discover a place where life is pushed to its absolute limits. For at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, the sea floor widens into a gaping abyss of obscurities. Fish that seem to lack faces. Sprawling fields of bacteria. And giants that resemble life from another planet.
Is that a horse conch?
Let's take a closer look at the hidden world of the Mariana Trench.
Some of these some of this fish in the deep sea, it looks really funny if you bring it up to the surface. Is there an emote of that? Is that the fish molly?
The infamous Mariana Trench sits like a crescent-shaped dent in the floor of the Pacific.
Marijuana Trench.
2,550 kilometer long, 69 kilometer wide fracture that plummets down into a pure black void. At the bottom, it hosts the deepest known location on Earth, the Challenger Deep, 11,033 meters or 36,200 feet beneath the waves. The trench itself is but one part of a global network of deep scars that cut across the ocean floor.
Scars?
Features that formed from a process called subduction. In the case of the Mariana Trench, the western edge of the Pacific Plate was thrust beneath the smaller Mariana Plate to the west, creating the deep fracture. Molten material then rose through volcanoes near the trench, building the nearby Mariana Islands. At its deepest point, the Mariana Trench dips down into a little explored zone of the ocean. The Hadal Zone.
James Cameron has been down
here.
The
realm Hades, the underworld of Greek mythology. A suitable title for a place where the conditions of pure darkness, acidic, freezing water, scarce food, and immense pressure create a challenging environment for creatures to survive in.
And you're a Discord admin?
For much of history, it was believed
to
be a dead zone,
thanks guys
void
for the
of any life at all. An impossible frontier, and an empty void of perils that could never be reached by any human.
Show the fish.
But in the 19th century, this was all about to change.
In sync,
the Mariana's depths were
this Darius sounds like he's doing a Lord of the Rings intro, true.
First plumbed in 1875, when the crew aboard the HMS Challenger passed a weighted sounding line over the side of the vessel.
What does HMS stand for? His Royal Majesty, his Hennes and Mauritz ship.
And found they needed more rope.
Her Majesty's ship.
They had not expected there to be a location so deep. But news of its discovery caught the eye of the ambitious. Knowing it existed simply wasn't enough, and a few dared to venture to the bottom.
Your mother's bottom. In pursuit of the abyss.
In 1960, 85 years after the Challenger Deep was discovered on that pioneering voyage, 2 men set out to reach the bottom. Jacques Picard and Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh, sheltered only by a cramped...
So will you guys do this? If you had the opportunity to do it, totally free. Jump into the thingy and go all the way down.
Bath escape submersible called the Trieste. Their 5-hour descent was fraught with challenges. The water pressure near the bottom was nearly 1,000 times greater than atmospheric pressure at sea level.
Didn't the window crack or something?
During the journey, this caused the viewing window to crack, limiting their time spent on the sea floor to only 20 minutes. Even in
Jeez.
such a short amount of time, what they saw would shock the scientific community.
Actual delta P.
Life, pale shrimp and flounder-like fish, along with what they described as a dark brown diatomaceous ooze that covered the sea floor.
Delicious. What's marauders?
Picard described this moment with excitement in a book about the voyage. Here, in an instant, was the answer that biologists had asked for the decades.
How is Babby formed?
Could life exist in the greatest depths of the ocean? It could.
Life finds a way.
When James Cameron followed in the Trieste's footsteps on board the Deep-Sea Challenger in 2012, he too saw the sprawling microbial mats. Bizarre-looking filamentous clumps of microorganisms living off chemicals from altered rocks. 10,912 meters,
Ew! Why is it so gross?
35,803 feet down in a sunless world. It is these bacteria that support more complex creatures, for without sunlight, larger animals must instead rely on the energy produced by bacteria undergoing chemosynthesis, the deep sea equivalent to photosynthesis.
Okay. Gemstech. Discoveries in the dank. Do you evolve from that? Exactly, I'm above it.
Was taken by an unmanned Japanese submersible called Kaiko in 1996. Having reached a depth of 10,897 meters, it marked the deepest dive for an unmanned submersible at the time. Its goal was to sample bacteria
Okay,
from the
I gotta
mats
finish straight.
that Picard and Walsh had observed nearly 40 years earlier. They found that a number of these bacterial species appeared to be obligately barophilic, meaning they thrived under high environmental pressures, proving that the idea that life could only exist in more moderate
Hi,
conditions
Mr. Random Niece. It was super nice to
flawed.
meet you. Hope you didn't catch
But in
COVID.
1998, Kaiko returned to the Challenger Deep and stumbled upon more complex life. Hierondelia gigas, a gigantic amphipod species.
Let's go.
This discovery posed a bit of a mystery. The extreme pressures of the deep sea caused
Ew.
calcium carbonate that makes up the shells of amphipods and many marine animals to dissolve more readily in water,
Ow.
leaving their soft bodies vulnerable. As such, amphipods are not usually found below about 5,000 meters.
They're so gross.
16,400
Should be ashamed of
feet.
themselves.
And yet here in Kaiko's light,
Yeah, I did,
was
Random
a
Niece, I
giant
did.
amphipod, retaining even its tough exoskeleton. It has since been found that they protect their shells using a form of aluminium armor, using chemicals in their gut to extract aluminium ions from the seafloor mud while they forage for food.
For reggae?
In
1v1
their
event
role-
with E-Rob when? Good question.
As detrivores, these amphipods occupy a key role in the ecosystem. They act as a cleanup crew, possessing enzymes that are able to digest even wood.
Blech.
In more recent times, remote submersibles have caught yet more oddities of the Mariana Trench in their headlights.
Ooh.
Among the most abundant inhabitants are the holothurians, sea cucumbers, like the remarkable sea pig with its ring of feeding tentacles that it uses to sift through the mud and grab onto food. Some scientists believe that Picard's
Cucumber.
fish was, in fact, a sea cucumber, for it is thought that fish are unable to survive where the pressure is so great that it would dissolve the bones of any vertebrates.
Sorry, I'll mute.
The deepest known fish thrives at depths of 8,000 meters, or 26,200 feet. Still 2 kilometers above the Challenger Deep. The Mariana snailfish, discovered in 2014, yet given the scientific name Pseudoliparis swirae to commemorate Sub-Lieutenant
How can there be so
Herbert
much
Swire
slime?
from the HMS Challenger. But snailfish and amphipods are not the only oddballs found in the trench. Gigantic xenophyonophores grow to be 20 centimeters in diameter, yet consist of only a single cell. Predatory tunicates called sea squirts anchor their bodies to the sides of canyons in wait of
Sea
passing
squirts?
prey, while deep sea hatchet
Look at that
fish
guy, look
use
at this dude.
bioluminescence to blend in with their surroundings.
Yo, you guys know there's like an animal that's shaped kind of like a pickle, but then like it comes, like it's, I don't know if it's when it's stressed or it's a form of defense, it literally squirts white stuff. It actually straight up just looks kinky.
While only glimpses
I found them in like Jackass or something and jerked them off essentially. Sea cucumber, is that what it is?
of these otherworldly organisms have been recorded, their abundance
Geoduck?
goes to
What?
show that life will always find a way to
Oh my
survive,
goodness.
even when faced with the intense challenge of living at the heart of the ocean's underworld.
Why is there always sex with you, Nym? I'm sorry. It's not always. We need to go deeper!
Despite all the expeditions...
Oh, those animals are cool. These fucking rave disco lights. These ones, what are they called?
Despite all the expeditions and the footage that's been gathered, we have still only just begun to dip our toes into the hidden world
Geoduck.
of the Mariana Trench. It is likely that many
Ew,
new species
yeah, that's the
await
one.
discovery and will help us piece together the puzzle of how animals can survive
Or is
such
it?
extremities. Researching the Mariana's microorganisms could lead to vital breakthroughs in biomedicine and
I feel like we'll get banned for
biotechnology
showing this.
and shed light on the story of life's emergence on planet Earth.
Na, 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 na.
But even the furthest depths are within reach of human-driven destruction. Already has plastic been found in a place we can scarcely understand. Who knows what vital discoveries might vanish before we come to understand their importance.
Men October or November or December
This
is...
portion of the video is sponsored by.
Ah!
To explain
Sorry, I'm
to those
allergic
of you
to
living down in the Bathy
other
Mountains
people
zone who
shilling
might
Nord-
not know what a VPN is. It stands for Virtual Private Network, and essentially does for you what bioluminescence does for the bloody belly comb jelly. It